I blew zeros, so now you're trying to think I smoke weed. That's what's going on. You can't do that, man. You really can't do that.
Absolutely I can.
Police are used to facing danger. But what if the real threat comes from a 200 IQ suspect who can outwit them at every turn? Welcome to Cam's Don't Lie. Here's how these corrupt detectives reacted when they were outsmarted by suspects. Chief Michael Cicchini found himself in a situation on September 17, 2022, where he confronted the wrong teenagers.
What'd I do?
Get out of here.
I didn't even do nothing.
Yeah, you did.
What'd I do?
Go.
What'd I do?
Go.
That battery?
Get out of here. It's disturbing the peace.
You hit me because of disturbing the
Yeah, it's a crime. You need to go.
How did I disturb me?
Believing they were causing a disturbance, Cicchini began harassing Parker Whalen and Travis Crin. However, these weren't your typical troublemakers. The boys were simply having fun, and unlike the chief's assumption, they weren't breaking any laws. In fact, they were well aware of their rights and prepared to use that knowledge to their advantage.
Assault me. You want to make out? I'll make out with you right now. I sweep both ways, bro. Go ahead.
It seems Chief Cicchini was about to get a lesson in the law from a couple of teenagers. Chief Cicchini had been on edge lately. He believed Parker Whalen and Travis Crin were causing a disturbance. The boys were simply having fun, perhaps squealing their wheels, doing burnouts or donuts near a new monument. However, the chief saw this as disruptive and began harassing them. The situation escalated. The chief told them to leave, accusing them of disturbing the peace. The boys, especially Travis, knew their rights and felt the chief's actions were unjustified. They argued back, denying any wrongdoing and questioning the accusation. The passage suggests the chief might have even used profanity during the exchange. Things went from bad to worse.
I'm not gonna touch you. I'm not gonna touch you. I know.
Get
better.
out of his face.
I know better, bro.
Hey,
What is
can
he
you
doing
send
to
a
you?
unit down here? I've got 3 hooligans that need to go.
Hooligans, you hit me with a flashlight.
Crin, realizing the chief's behavior was wrong, called for the real police. Instead of complying, Cicchini identified himself as an officer, likely trying to intimidate the boys into leaving. However, their knowledge of the law and their rights wouldn't be swayed. They not only stood their ground, but also accused the chief of assault, a serious offense. The passage implies Cicchini believed his badge gave him the authority to act above the law, but the teenagers weren't backing down.
What's the First Amendment?
You hit me with a flashlight.
No,
I
you
can
don't
see
have a
what I'm
right to
saying.
disturb the peace.
You hit me with a
downtown
flashlight,
first,
bro.
which
What are you
downtown
talking about?
They even questioned his knowledge of the First Amendment, which protects freedom of expression. The situation reached a boiling point, with the teenagers daring the chief to assault them further. The situation becomes even more complex as the chief offers his perspective on the events leading up to the confrontation.
So I go out onto my balcony and I look down and they're they're driving, and the guy in the long hair intentionally drives his scooter into the barricade, and I go, hey, cut it out, cut your shit.
He claims he saw teenagers, possibly including Parker and Travis, acting disruptively on scooters, damaging a barricade. He confronted them and ordered them to leave. However, it's important to remember the teenagers' claim.
What's going on? So we were just riding around on burn scooters, you know, like teenagers do. And then he came up here. I'm 19. Okay. And he hit the cone right here and knocked it over.
Middle one?
Yeah, and knocked it over. And then he started yelling, and he threatened him first. So he was defending himself.
That the chief initiated the confrontation and behaved inappropriately. They even recorded the entire encounter, suggesting they were prepared to hold the chief accountable for his actions. Chief Cicchini claims he was off duty at home when he heard loud noises from the teenagers, possibly Parker and Travis, who were allegedly damaging property with their scooters. He initially told them to leave, but when he felt threatened, he went down to confront them himself. However, the teenagers' account paints a different picture. They felt Cicchini was hostile from the start and described his actions as aggressive. Here's where the details get murky. Cicchini claims he identified himself as an officer before the altercation escalated, while the teenagers maintain he might have only shown his badge later. The story further diverges on the physical interaction.
He stood off on me and I did a pectoral jab with my flashlight. Okay.
Cicchini describes using a tech coral dab with his flashlight, which sounds like a non-violent maneuver. The teenagers, however, felt it was an assault. Thankfully, the situation didn't escalate further. The teenagers, presumably with their recording as evidence, were able to share their side of the story. They portrayed themselves as simply enjoying a ride on their scooters, not causing any damage.
Where did he come from? He was up there up at the top. Okay. And he was like, I'll come down there and beat your ass. Okay. And we waited down here to see if he would actually come down, and then he came down. Travis was standing right there, didn't say a single word. And like on the road, and he came up and hit him. I don't know if it was like in the chest or the rib cage, but he hit him with the flashlight and then started shining it in his eyes.
The teenagers' account directly contradicts the chief's story. They claim they were simply riding their scooters, not damaging property. According to them, it was Cicchini who initiated the confrontation, yelling and acting hostile for no reason. They specifically state that Travis, who was present, never said a word or threatened the chief. The physical interaction also seems more aggressive from their perspective. They allege Cicchini struck Travis not with a casual tech coral dab, as the chief described, but with a blow to the chest or ribs, possibly followed by a flashlight hit and shining a light directly in his eyes. Things took a dramatic turn when Chief Cicchini confronted the teenagers. While Cicchini claimed he was off duty and intervened after they damaged property, the teenagers' story paints a different picture. They described simply riding their scooters and being met with unwarranted hostility from the chief. The narratives diverge further regarding the physical interaction. Cicchini described a non-threatening tech coral dab with his flashlight, while the teenagers insisted he struck Travis with the flashlight and possibly even hit him in the chest. The teenagers' recording likely played a crucial role. Their version of events, backed by the recording, led to charges of assault and battery against Cicchini. This ultimately resulted in his removal as police chief. The narrative shifts to a new encounter, this time involving Officer Winters of the Newton Police Department. He pulls over Taven Galanakis for having his bright lights on. Galanakis, however, insists he also had a handheld flashlight active, which in some jurisdictions allows the use of high beams. The conversation quickly becomes strained.
My name's Officer Winters with the Newton Police Department. The reason I pulled you over is because you have your bright lights on.
Yeah, I have a headlight out, so I just keep my brights on.
Okay, well that's not legal.
Oh, it isn't?
No.
Yeah, I turn when a car comes by, I turn them off. But like,
Well, you didn't with me.
oh, you weren't close enough though. You were like, you were a while
It
back.
has to be within 500 feet.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
And you're not
about
supposed to have your brights on in the city limits.
that. My fault.
You got your license, registration, insurance with you?
Yeah, I got you.
Where are you coming from?
Friend's house.
Okay. Anything to drink over there?
Galanakis questions the legality of the stop, while Winters seems to ask unusual questions unrelated to the traffic violation. He inquires about Galanakis' destination, residency, and even if he's carrying any dangerous items. Galanakis denies having any such items and expresses confusion about the officer's suspicion. Winters' request for Galanakis to step out of the vehicle further escalates the situation. Galanakis seems hesitant, questioning the officer's procedures. The passage ends with Galanakis frustrated and the encounter unresolved. The story takes another turn, focusing on Taven Galanakis' encounter with Officer Winters. This time, Winters pulls Galanakis over for suspicion of DUI, driving under the influence. While the exact reason for suspicion isn't explicitly stated, Winters mentions Galanakis' movements in the car and a perceived smell of alcohol.
How much have you had to drink tonight?
None.
What do you mean none?
I had nothing to drink.
Okay. Why would your eyes be watery and bloodshot?
You want to blow me real quick?
I don't want to blow you.
Galanakis vehemently denies drinking and readily agrees to a breathalyzer test, even recording the interaction. His confidence suggests he's certain he'll pass the test. However, Winters seems to delay the breathalyzer and instead puts Galanakis through a series of field sobriety tests, excluding the breathalyzer itself. This raises questions about Winters' motives and adherence to proper DUI procedures. The narrative ends with Galanakis complying with the sobriety test, but the situation remains unresolved, leaving the reader to wonder about the outcome. The situation between Taven Galanakis and Officer Winters continues to deteriorate. Despite Galanakis' repeated request for a breathalyzer test, Winters puts him through a series of field sobriety tests. Galanakis performs well on all the tests, further undermining the officer's initial suspicion. The entire ordeal stretches for an hour, with Winters seemingly avoiding the breathalyzer.
What I want you to do is make a tight seal around this and blow outwards like you're blowing up a balloon, okay? Cool. All right. You ready? Yep. Okay, you can relax. So I'm gonna read you Miranda, okay? Right now you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
Finally, Winters administers the test, and the results are clear. Galanakis' blood alcohol content is 0.0, indicating he wasn't intoxicated. Despite this definitive evidence, Winters' behavior takes a concerning turn. Instead of acknowledging his mistake and letting Galanakis go, he begins reading Galanakis his Miranda rights, typically given to suspects before an arrest. This implies Winters might have been considering fabricating charges even after the breathalyzer results.
What? Why do you think it's tonight? Why do you think I smoke? I blew zeros, so now you're trying to think I smoke weed. That's what's going on. You can't do that, man. You really can't do that.
Absolutely I can.
Furthermore, Winters doesn't show Galanakis the test results and attempts to accuse him of smoking marijuana, a tactic that seems like grasping at straws. The story ends with Galanakis catching on to Winters' attempt and denying any drug use. Despite the breathalyzer test clearing Tabin Galanakis of any alcohol intoxication, Officer Winters' behavior remains problematic. Winters doesn't acknowledge his mistake or apologize for the lengthy stop. Instead, he tries to save face by claiming disappointment in a fabricated drug issue. Galanakis, however, gets the last word, highlighting the unfairness of the situation and the unnecessary tests. The story then takes a surprising turn, jumping to a new incident. Here, a civilian is approached by 4 officers for allegedly standing too close to a traffic stop.
Since you're making contact with me, could you identify your name and badge number?
I'm Officer Albee.
And your badge number, please?
I don't even know why you're here right now.
I asked you a direct question. Do you have your badge number on
And
you?
I asked you to leave because right now you're not allowed to be on our traffic stop.
However, the man seems to be at a safe distance and requests the officers' badge numbers, a standard request when questioning police actions. The officers refuse to provide their identification and ask the man to leave. The story concludes with another instance of a potentially overzealous police stop. A civilian is approached by 4 officers for being too close to a traffic stop, even though he seems to be a safe distance away. He calmly asserts his right to be there, referencing Supreme Court rulings protecting citizens' right to observe police activity from a reasonable distance.
You have a right to record and everything. We just need you a little further away from the scene.
Do you remember what the Supreme Court ruled as far as the distance?
Do you remember what it was?
You don't know?
Well, anything that we deem as unsafe.
Okay, that's false. Have a good day, sir.
The officers, however, are unable to provide a clear legal basis for their demands and seem to rely on their own judgment of unsafe distance. The man, undeterred, stands his ground and even points out the officers' lack of knowledge about the law. The situation escalates as more officers arrive. But the man remains firm and requests the officer's identification, name and badge number. This is a crucial detail as it allows for accountability in case of misconduct.
I ask you what type of business you're conducting, and can you take your hand out your pocket for me, please?
Since you're engaging with me, can I get your name and badge number?
My name is Officer Robinson, badge number 659.
Thank you very much.
Finally, one officer reluctantly provides his name and badge number, Officer Robinson with badge number 659. The situation with the man and the 4 officers reaches a turning point. The man, aware of his rights, politely requests Officer Robinson's name and badge number. This simple act, crucial for police accountability, throws the officers off guard.
What's your name and your badge number? Just answer it, man.
I don't have to, but I will because
It's your policy.
it's actually not our policy.
It's not?
No, it's not.
Officer Love, perhaps flustered, makes a contradictory statement. He initially claims requesting a name and badge number is a lawful request, then backtracks saying it's not policy. This confusion highlights the importance of clear procedures and officer knowledge of the law. Ultimately, the man's composure and awareness of his rights diffuse the situation. The officers, seemingly unable to justify their actions, leave the scene before escalating the situation further. On September 29, 2019, a seemingly routine neighborhood dispute escalated into a tense standoff.
Okay. Enough! I didn't do anything! You just tased me for no reason!
It all began with Michael Franchek's son, Jack, riding a gas-powered motorbike, which apparently irritated some neighbors. One neighbor even allegedly threatened Jack. This sparked an argument between Michael and the neighbor, eventually leading to the police being called. The situation took a turn when an officer received a report that Michael had a weapon hidden on him.
Hello, are you, Michael?
Hi, can I help you with something?
Yeah, we're here about a...
Your name?
Officer Rodriguez.
First name?
Jim.
Jim, how are you, Jim? And your name? Sorry, badge number?
What's that?
Badge number, please.
Let's go ahead and talk about the incident that you had out here a few minutes ago.
Don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Step down here for me.
When the police arrived, they attempted to question Michael. However, Michael, perhaps concerned about his rights, refused to answer their questions or leave his house. He also requested the officers' names and badge numbers, a standard request for citizen accountability. Unfortunately, the officers disregarded his request. With communication breaking down, the situation quickly escalated. Michael, understandably confused, claimed to have no knowledge of the incident the officers were referencing. This left everyone at an impasse, highlighting the importance of clear communication and respecting individual rights during police interactions. The tense encounter where Jack's father is taken into custody by the police, resulting in injuries. Jack tries to intervene and record the incident, but the officers refuse to give him space.
I didn't do anything. You just tased me for no reason.
Stop. Outside.
What are you doing?
Stop.
What am I being detained for?
Outside.
What am I being detained for?
Just stop resisting.
I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting. Don't go take his phone.
Despite Jack's protests of innocence and lack of resistance, the officers continue to restrain him. They prevent him from speaking and acknowledge that they perceive him as a threat due to his intelligence. As tensions escalate, Jack demands the officers' identification, but they refuse to provide it and insist on him stepping back. The situation intensifies as Jack accuses the officers of harassment, leading to a standoff. The officers, unable to charge the kid, threatened him with juvenile court despite knowing he had no charges against him. Jack asserted his rights regarding his gas-powered vehicle and Michael's concealed carry permit, which the officers acknowledged. Despite lacking evidence, they considered making up a story to justify their actions. However, Officer Rodriguez was eventually charged with 5 violations, indicating their actions were scrutinized. Jack's knowledge of his rights and Michael's possession of a concealed carry permit meant the officers had no grounds for charges. Despite their attempts to fabricate a story, they faced consequences as Officer Rodriguez was charged with 5 violations, including the misuse of a taser, and Officer Thor with 3. Both were dismissed from their roles, and Michael pursued legal action seeking compensation exceeding $1 million, highlighting the repercussions when unqualified individuals become law enforcement officers. And that's how the 200 IQ suspect destroyed the corrupt police officers, showcasing the power of knowledge and resilience in the face of injustice. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling content. Thanks for watching.